We've always looked for better ways to keep a record of our lives together. From overfilled albums bulging with photos. That would have been 1999.
Yes.
In those days we were bike riders, not runners. What is it start? That's 2002.
I've never been so good with words, so I started by making little drawings of our trips together, while Nord took the photos on his Nikon film camera.
In 2002, we spent 6 months touring through the Alps and the Pyrenees, camping by the side of the road and riding all day.
I loved my video camera and made lots of tapes to send home to my family in Austria.
Good girl.
Good girl.
Midgie? Ah, that's better. No, we are looking through some old footage that we found this morning. We've had things all packed up in all sorts of boxes for the last little while and haven't been able to find anything, but we just got a whole lot of boxes and stuff out this morning and found that we had all this really old footage of stuff that we took in our mountain biking days over in New Zealand, and we didn't really film anything in particular. We just sort of stuck the camera on the top of Flo's helmet and and rode around. Those days there wasn't such a thing as, well, certainly no such thing as YouTube. So somebody asked us the other day, had we done any filming prior to this, and well, we hadn't really, but we did have a camera, and Flo did most of it then, didn't you?
Yeah.
Flo had a...
Oh, I loved my camera.
I don't know, you had a high 8 camera, which didn't last too long, and then we got a little mini DV recorder and used to carry that in the back of your Camelback, and I got you a little Contour or some sort of little camera like that for your birthday, I think, one year.
That's perfect.
And that went up on top of the helmet. It's like a little tube that's set up on the top of the helmet. And then this huge mass of cables out the back in the rucksack with a huge big lithium battery, and then you had to have the whole mini DV recorder and there's massive wires to connect it all together.
It was really light and small, and
yeah, we were just amazed at how small and light and perfect that was. Remember the Lumix?
Oh yes, I do remember the Lumix. It was the one.
That was the one we got.
Waterproof.
Yeah, remember we got that when I when I was injured and couldn't run. We decided we were going to be kayakers. We were going to be sea kayakers.
It was very dangerous.
It was,
with the baby and
But that was a pretty good camera, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I loved it.
We loved it because it was HD, but we just checked it out and it was like 1280 HD. It wasn't even full HD.
Yeah.
But
it was
good.
Brilliant, yeah. We better go. It's getting late.
We had, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on then. Yeah, most of the time when we're out for a run, like you're, I don't know, I guess you're heading for some kind of mountain somewhere, mountain peak or some lookout place, you know, where you can get a decent view of where you are. And somehow this camera likes Flo a lot better than it likes me, which is not so surprising. But yeah, I mean, today we're just out for a normal run. We're just out in a run here on these local trails, a bit further away from home, but still is going to get us a decent run. There's no amazing scenes out here.
Lots of trees and grass.
Lots of trees and grass. Hang on, let me focus on Flo here. Focus on Flo. There you go. Lots of trees and grass.
Lots of trees.
And not much else really. But some great trails to be out on here. And I think that's what it's always been for us, hasn't it? You know, ever since those really early days back in 1999. Yeah. Well, we had to take all those photos for the immigration department to prove that we were a real couple and you could stay in Australia. Oh, yeah. You know, it's just about documenting or making a record of everyday life and not just sort of cherry picking all the best bits, which I think, you know, social media can sometimes make you want to do, you know, all of those mountain peaks and all that sort of thing. But, you know, for us it's more these days anyway, particularly, is just, you know, about those everyday runs that you go on. And you know, it's funny because we often complain about how hard it is to edit 4K video. Oh yeah. But we've just been trying to do some of that here. But, you know, you forget how much better it is now compared to the way it used to be back in the old days. Just looking at this mini DV player, which we've got hooked up via Firewire to our really old computer here after hours of looking around to try and find various adapters. We've just pulled out the old computer again. In those days you had to upload everything in real time. So if you had like an hour of footage, it would take you an hour to load that into your computer, and then even just as long to, if not
even longer,
to export it, you know, and never mind trying to edit that, and then you ended up with these tiny little files of footage, which we thought was great back in the day, but looking at it now, I think, you know, things have gotten so much better. Look, I'll show you what I mean. Yeah. Oh, that's that jacket I lost.
Oh yeah, and the starlet, yeah. Love that car.
Great.
Mit den Orgel, mit dem Puff.
You know, if there's one thing we've learned this week after sifting through, I reckon, hours and hours and hours of old footage from 20 years ago, that there's only one thing that's still interesting now for us to watch. And it's not what we thought at the time was really interesting, all of the mountain biking, the trails where we used to spend all of our weekends really. Used to jump in the car and head down to the east coast or down south to Wellington in New Zealand, and it's none of that. It's really, it's just one thing is still interesting to us now, and that's just the footage of everyday life, you know, of us hanging around at home, sitting drinking coffee in the morning or that sort of thing. And I think, you know, maybe there's a lesson in there for us, huh? That if we, for these videos, you know, what are we doing? What are we going to be looking back on in 20 years' time? And I wonder, is it going to be, is the interesting thing going to be the running the trail, or not, you know? Anyway, maybe a good lesson there for us. Oops. And it's starting to get a little bit windy. But let us know what you think down in the comments anyway, guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.